I've buried over 10,000 bodies, rich men in $1,000 suits, teenagers who never got to graduate, mothers who kissed their kids goodbye that morning, and after 35 years of lowering caskets into the ground, death taught me something about life that no one else will tell you. What I'm about to share will either terrify you or set you free. My name doesn't matter. What matters is what I've seen. For 35 years, I've been the last person to handle your body before the earth takes you. I've worked in the wealthiest neighborhoods, in the poorest. I've buried CEOs and homeless men. And here's what nobody tells you. They all look exactly the same when I close that casket. Every single one. The ground doesn't care about your resume, your bank account, or how many people liked your photos. I've watched thousands of families say goodbye, and I've learned something that changed everything about how I live. Because when you spend decades standing at the edge of graves, you start to see patterns. You start to understand what actually matters. And trust me, it's not what you think. Lesson 1. Tomorrow is a lie we tell ourselves. Let me tell you about a funeral that broke me. A 32-year-old mother, healthy, no warning, just didn't wake up one morning. Her husband stood there, completely destroyed, holding their daughter's hand. The little girl was 5. She kept asking when mommy was coming home, and I thought about all the times that woman probably said tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll take you to the park. Tomorrow we'll bake cookies. Tomorrow I'll quit this job I hate. Tomorrow I'll tell him I love him. But tomorrow never came for her. And I see this constantly. The college kid who was going to travel Europe after graduation. The businessman who was going to retire at 60 and finally live. The couple who were going to renew their vows next year. They're all in the ground now. And tomorrow never arrived. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You're not guaranteed your next breath. Not your next birthday. Not even tonight. I've buried 23-year-olds and 93-year-olds, and neither of them saw it coming. So why are you waiting? Why are you postponing your dreams, your conversations, your life, for a tomorrow that might not exist? The wealthy clients I bury had the same plan as everyone else. Someday I'll do what makes me happy. Someday I'll fix that relationship. Someday I'll live. But someday is the biggest lie we tell ourselves, because I'm the one who buries someday. And let me tell you, it's the saddest thing I've ever witnessed. Lesson 2. Your money dies with you, but your impact doesn't. I've buried millionaires and billionaires, caskets that cost more than most people's houses, funerals with hundreds of flowers, live orchestras, custom everything. And you know what's haunting? Half the time, there's almost nobody there. I've stood at graves of wealthy men where only 3 people showed up. 3. Because they spent their entire lives accumulating money instead of relationships. They built empires, but forgot to build connections. Then there's the other funerals, the ones where we can barely fit everyone in the cemetery. The teacher who made $30,000 a year, the nurse who worked night shifts, the mechanic who fixed cars in his garage. These people didn't have money, but their funerals are standing room only. People crying, sharing stories, laughing through tears, because these people invested in something that actually lasts. They invested in people. Here's what I've learned. You will never, ever see a hearse pulling a U-Haul. You can't take it with you. That promotion you're killing yourself for means nothing when you're 6 feet under. That house you're working 80 hours a week to afford, someone else will live in it. That investment portfolio, your kids will spend it or fight over it. The only thing that survives you is the impact you made on other people's lives. Did you make them feel loved? Did you help them when they struggled? Did you show up when it mattered? Because that's what people talk about at funerals, not your net worth, your worth to them. I've seen this play out thousands of times, and the pattern is undeniable. The richest person in the cemetery is the one who gave the most love, not the one who made the most money. Lesson 3. The things you worry about don't matter at the end. You want to know what nobody mentions at funerals. That embarrassing thing you said at the office party. The 10 pounds you wanted to lose. The promotion you didn't get. The argument you had on social media. The fact that your house wasn't as nice as your neighbor's. None of it. Not one word. I've listened to thousands of eulogies, and here is what people actually remember. The time you stayed up all night with them when they were hurting. The way you laughed at their jokes. How you made them feel seen and valued. The small moments you probably don't even remember. I buried a man last month, 58 years old. Massive heart attack. His brother gave the eulogy, and you know what he talked about? A fishing trip they took when they were 12. One afternoon 46 years ago. That's what mattered. Not the man's career, not his achievements, not his struggles. One afternoon when he made his brother feel loved. And I stood there thinking about all the hours that men probably spent worrying. Worrying about deadlines, about what people thought, about money problems and health problems and problems that probably seemed massive at the time. But none of those worries were mentioned at his funeral, because at the end, none of it mattered. We waste so much life being afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of not being enough. But I'm telling you, from the perspective of someone who has seen the end thousands of times, the fears you're carrying right now will be completely forgotten. No one's going to remember that you failed. They're going to remember that you tried. They're going to remember how you treated them.
I've learned a lot in my 35 years in the funeral business, but there's one truth that took me years to fully understand. It's this: love is the only thing that survives death. I've buried people from every walk of life, every background, every belief system you can imagine. And at every single funeral, without fail, there's one common thread that weaves through everything: love. It's the only thing that makes death even remotely bearable for those who are left behind. And it's the only thing the dead are truly remembered for. I've seen incredibly wealthy men buried with almost no one there to grieve for them. Their fortunes meant nothing in the end. And I've seen poor women whose funerals shut down entire neighborhoods because so many people loved them, so many people wanted to pay their respects. Their impact was immeasurable. I've seen parents bury their own children, which is, without a doubt, the worst, most unnatural thing I have ever witnessed. And you know what gets them through that unimaginable pain? The love they shared, the memories they created, every hug, every bedtime story, every single "I love you." That's what remains when everything else is gone. Everything else just dissolves. Your accomplishments? People forget them surprisingly quickly. Your possessions? They get donated, sold, or thrown away. All those grudges and resentments you held onto so tightly? They become completely and utterly pointless. But love echoes. It reverberates through time. It changes people. It outlives you. I think about the people I've buried who clearly understood this simple truth. There was a grandmother whose funeral lasted 3 hours because 60 different people stood up to share stories about her kindness, her warmth, her generosity. There was a father whose adult children, years after his passing, still break down crying because they miss his presence, his guidance, his unwavering love. And I remember a friend whose entire community showed up to say goodbye because she had this incredible gift for making every single person she met feel seen and important. These people cracked the code. They figured out what so many of us miss. They realized that life isn't about what you accumulate or what you achieve on a resume. It's about who you love and how well you love them. And here's the thing that haunts me, the part that keeps me up at night. Some people figure this out far too late. I've seen it firsthand. The deathbed confessions. The last-minute whispered apologies. The final "I love yous" that should have been said and heard decades ago. Please, don't be that person. Don't wait until you're dying to tell people what they mean to you. Don't wait until someone's funeral to finally say something kind about them. Because I am the guy who has to stand there and watch families grapple with the crushing realization that they've run out of time. And it's the most preventable tragedy I've ever seen. This brings me to the final lesson, and it's the most important one of all. You are going to die. That's not a maybe. It's not a probability. It is a definite 100% certainty. It might be 60 years from now. It might be tomorrow afternoon. But it's coming for you, just like it's coming for me and everyone else. And when I'm there, lowering your casket into the ground, the only question that will truly matter is this: did you actually live? Or did you spend your whole life just preparing to live? Waiting to live? Planning to live? I ask this because I've buried too many people who were still waiting, still preparing. They were just one promotion away, one vacation away, one more achievement away from finally allowing themselves to be happy. And then they died, still waiting. There's a saying that most people die at 25, but aren't buried until 75. And from what I've seen, it's frighteningly true. They stop dreaming. They stop taking risks. They stop feeling deeply. They just go through the motions day after day. And before they know it, decades have passed and they never actually lived at all. They just existed. And that, right there, is the real tragedy I see in my job. It's not death itself. Death is a natural part of the cycle. The real tragedy is the unlived life. It's the people who had the chance to love deeply and didn't take it. It's the people who had incredible dreams and buried them long before I had to bury their bodies. It's the people who spent their entire lives being scared instead of being alive. So here's what I want you to understand. Really let it sink in. Your death is non-negotiable, but your life? That's entirely up to you. You can spend it worrying about what other people think. You can spend it chasing things that ultimately don't matter. You can spend it waiting for someone else's permission to be happy. Or you can realize that the clock is ticking loudly and every single day you waste is a day you'll never get back. Take the trip you've been dreaming of. Have that difficult, necessary conversation. Quit the job that's slowly killing your spirit. Tell people you love them and tell them often. Do the thing that scares you. Because I promise you, when you're on your deathbed, you won't regret the things you did. You'll regret the things you didn't do. The chances you didn't take. The words you didn't say. And I'll be there, eventually, to put you in the ground. And the only thing that will matter then is whether you actually lived before I did. So that's it. That's what 35 years of burying bodies has taught me. Tomorrow isn't promised. Money means nothing in the end. Your worries don't matter nearly as much as you think. Love is everything. And you're going to die, so you might as well live. I know this is heavy stuff. I know it's uncomfortable to think about. But someone needs to tell you the truth, and most people won't. They'll let you sleepwalk through your life, thinking you have all the time in the world. But I've seen how this story ends, for everyone. And I'm telling you, with complete certainty, the people who understood these lessons died peacefully. They had full lives, rich lives. Not rich in money, but rich in meaning, in connection, in love. And the people who didn't? They died with a heavy burden of regret. I know which one of those I want to be, and I hope you do too. Because one day, someone like me will be standing over your grave. And the only thing that will matter is what you did with the time you had. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep waiting? Or are you finally going to start living? The choice is yours, but make it soon. Because I've got a shovel with everyone's name on it, and I never know when I'll be digging yours. Thanks for listening. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more thoughts from the other side of life. Stay safe and live fully.